Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Bricks and Toys. My name is Brandon, and today we have a special episode about Funko Pops. Now, this episode is special because I mostly own Star Wars Funko Pops. But these Funko Pops I'm showing today on the channel are exclusively ones that I have picked out due to things that have a meaning to me that is not Star Wars. So we will not be showing Star Wars Funko Pops in this episode that is showcasing my collection. First off, I want to start with something from the early 2000s, and that is this pair of Pop Television Steve Irwin. Now, if you are in your 30s, you already probably know who this is. And if you are younger, you should go and look this man up. This man had a wildlife channel and a zoo, and there is absolutely nothing that this man would not touch and talk about on his show. He was more than just a personality. He was a father and a husband. Unfortunately, his life was taken somewhere in the mid 2000s during a stingray accident. He was pierced through the heart and he passed away. That's a memory that gives me goosebumps to this day. And when I found this Funko Pop, it was during a Black Friday sale, and I said, I'm grabbing it. And then it wasn't long afterwards, I was at my local toy store here in Vegas, and I discovered that he had a chase of a turtle. So this was one of those kind of things that was a catch 2022, you know? Do you want the one where he's known for holding a croc, or do you want the one where he's holding a turtle? Because the turtle is cute, but the croc is what he's known for. Because the show was The Crocodile Hunter. So these are my two Steve Irwins, and they are a very treasured part of my collection. Now let's move on to some other ones. This one's kind of funny. This is fine dog. Now this was a meme, and to me, this meme simulates my life. My life, all the way up until recent years, is just one big dumpster fire. And in this case, his whole house is on fire. And he's just drinking a cup of coffee with a positive attitude of, this is fine. And when I found him, I had to buy him because every time I look at this, I just chuckle because this is who I am as a person. Even though everything is burning around me, I'm just drinking a cup of warm green tea with some lemon, and I'm just saying, this is fine. Because at the end of the day, if you're alive and your kids are and wife are healthy, this is fine. A little bit more touching are my Funkos of Eve and Wally. Now, this was one of my first favorite Disney Pixar movies as an adult. My first actual is Toy Story. When Toy Story came out, I was 4, and when this movie came out, I was, I believe, just 18. I fell in love with this movie. This movie is about a rusty, trash compacting robot meeting a high tech surveillance robot. She was scanning, trying to look for forms of life, and he already found one. And if you've never seen the movie Wally, go and check it out. It's one of those Disney Pixar movies that I don't feel like is talked enough. It's one of my favorite. And the reason that I have to have this set is when I met my wife 10 years ago, she's a lot like Eve. She's polished, she's shiny, she's round. LOL, just joking. And she's just adorable, like Eve. And me, with my troubled dumpster fire background, I'm this rusty, squared off, trash compacting, dirty robot. And just how these two found love reminds me of how my wife and I found love. So when I found these, again at my local toy store, they came home with me. because every time I see this set, I just think of how much I love my wife and how I appreciate having a family with her. Now, to spice things up, the Tapatio Man. Now, I am a little country. It's how I was raised. And if you know anything about being a little country, you know a little thing about hot sauce. Mostly Tabasco, but there are other ones. And growing up in California, Tapatio and Tabasco was two of the most popular hot sauces. At one point, I had a bottle of each in my glove box of my truck. And even as I film this video, my kitchen table has a bottle of Tapatio on it. So when I saw him pop up on one of the 9:30, you've heard me talk about that 9:30 a.m. before, I went ahead and I grabbed him. He is the glittery Tapatio Man. So this guy cracks me up every time, and then I gotta go make some eggs with some Tapatio on them. But yeah, he's pretty sick. Now, continuing on about my country roots, I am a huge NASCAR fan. And in 2001, one of the biggest tragedies happened in NASCAR, one of the latest tragedies. There's been several. We lost the late, great Dale Earnhardt. And when I found him, he was probably number 5 of my entire collection. He had to come home with me. He is daunting the Wrangler colors that were as prominent in his earlier career before he was a full 7-time Cup champion. I believe when he was daunting the Wrangler colors, he's maybe 1 or 2 championships in at that point. But he definitely had to come home with me. I also have the full set of all 4 of these just to find out that there are more than just 4. There are a lot of NASCAR characters, and I do not know if I'm going to collect beyond the 4, but we'll see where time goes. But what's important, I got it for Dale, and I did it for Dale Earnhardt. Moving on to music. One of the bands that inspires a lot of my humor and inspires me enough to actually name my firstborn daughter after his own daughter is the band Blink 182. This set was, I think, rumored in August, and then in October they got all back together, and then by December this was available for purchase. Now this is them in their What's My Age Again music video of where they're running around the streets naked. Now this goes back about 23, 24 years ago. So if you've not seen the What's My Age Again music video by Blink 182, you have to check it out. It's back when toilet humor was at its finest. But this is one of my most favorite bands. Like I said, Tom DeLonge, the lead singer, his daughter's named the same as my daughter. So, and yeah, that's my Blink. Now, one of my favorite bands at the moment is a band called Ghost. If you've not heard of Ghost, go and hear Ghost. Now, every thing about Ghost is a contradiction in my point. All of their music sounds the same, but it is not the same. Every single album is an evolution of the prior album. They just keep getting better and better and better. And if you like classic rock with the new mixing that rock and roll has taken on, then Ghost is it. They sound like Toto meets Kansas, meets Black Sabbath, meets Metallica, all on crack. They're amazing. So, what better way to do than to start hunting down my set of Ghost Pops? Now, Ghost is a band with what they call lore. Every single album is what they call a new Papa or, a Pope. And in this case, this is like the father of all the Papas, and it's Papa Niall. And in the Ghost music, he plays a mean saxophone. So I had to pick him up. I love his sax solos in their music. So that's Papa Niall. And this is a Funko Pop album of their debut album, Opus Anonymous. Now, this album is really rough around the edges, but you can really hear their talent. And the root of their talent is prominent even more so on their most recent album, Impera. But this is Papa One in a special edition, Opus Anonymous, Funko Pop. And last but not least, who loves Christmas movies? I know I do, but we all have that number one must play on Christmas and maybe even play around Christmas. And that is this Funko Pop. Now, this is the theater Funko set of the Griswolds Vacation. It's one of my most favorite set of movies. Chevy Chase, I know he has his issues, but that man is so funny. And when it comes to Christmas, the Christmas Vacation is one of my favorite, most played Christmas movies in my house. And this features the whole family of Vacation. So this has been a quick little tour of the Funko Pops that are not Star Wars in my collection that mean a lot to me. Now, on my next episode of my Funko tour, I will be going over Star Wars. So if you're into Star Wars and you're into Funko Pops, you might want to check out that episode. If you want to leave any comments or anything, drop them below. I will respond to them. And I appreciate you all watching. Thank you, and you all have a good one.